Hi and welcome to today. I'm Amanda and I'm taking you on my 31 days of essential tools and supplies. My essential tools and supplies may be different from yours, but today we're going to be playing with. So let's get started. Hi there and welcome to another series of 31 Art Studio Essentials, or my 31 Art Studio Essentials. And just remember that they are just mine. My Art Studio Essentials may not be yours, or there may be some things. I hope that there are some things you thought, oh, I really wanted to try that, or I really wanted to get that, and it's kind of the way that I'm showing you or sharing with you has piqued your interest. So today what I'm going to be showing you is some of my stamp collection. Now this isn't nearly all of them. I didn't want to kind of overwhelm you, but I just really wanted to talk through the main collection that I have. And I guess where you have stamps, you're going to have ink pads as well. So I'll give you a kind of quick look at my ink pads as well. So you get two for the price of one today. So again, my collection spans, I was going to say several decades, and I'm just trying to think, does it? I think it does. As I've kind of grown as an artist, I have used my stamps in different ways, and originally I used them because I was into a lot of card making, and that was it. And I found that when I found something that I really enjoyed doing or was interested in, I just kind of went the whole hog. And I would buy stamps. I was always buying stamps because there are so many different and beautiful designs you can get depending on the cards that you are creating. And then I started making my own, because then I found that if you're using stamps made by other people, the copyright, that's not really your design. So then I started making my own and creating stamps in that way, and I want to show you some of them. So let's get started. So first of all, I'll show you some of the stamps that I first started out with, and these are ones that these as well. So there are some that I brought and some that I got for free. So these ones with the wooden ones backed are ones that I brought, and they vary, so this one says art. Let's go in a bit closer, shall we? Yes, not out, in. Okay, so this one says miracles are all around you. So again, just stamps that can create backgrounds. I did get a lot of stamps that had writing on, because these made lovely little cards, and were really nice, are really nice visually. And then I got some stamps with shapes. So these things came in as like a set of 4, I think. So if you are going to go down that road and get stamps, get ones that, obviously get the ones that you like, but think about how you're going to use them. If you are going to make cards, then and you're going to make more than one card, think about the fact that you're going to make more than one card, as opposed to buying one of these stamps and just making just one card, and then the stamp sits on your shelf or whatever. So these ones that I've got here, I mean, I've got some others that I really just don't use, or are waiting to be used. I use them in backgrounds. So I guess now if I was creating a journal page, so if I'm creating a journal page just for myself, then I'll use a lot of these. Or if I'm creating a painting, I might use an aspect of it. So you're not going to see the whole of this stamp, you're going to just see, say, part of it or part of the writing or the edge of the writing. And then in terms of copyright, you're not kind of, as far as I know, you're not, you know, I'm not selling multiples of a stamp with this design on it and or these particular designs. So as long as you can alter it enough that it doesn't look like the original, and you put your own, you know, whether you're drawing over it, again, as I say, I might just use an edge of it, so you might not necessarily see, you're not going to see the whole thing. Okay, so they're the wooden stamps, and as I said, I've got loads of them in these kind of containers that I've kind of tried to stack them in. The system I've got to hold them is not efficient as yet. It needs to be, I don't know, it needs to be some sort of container that can house them more effectively. Okay, then there are some other stamps that I brought. I brought a lot of lettered stamps and stamps like these, again because I was making cards and I wanted, you know, designs. Some of them, like, let's have a look. These ones, I think I got free in a magazine. So there are some magazines, I used to buy crafting and stamping magazines, and you could pick these up for free. There would be free gifts. So a lot of these small ones, I think this one I brought. But yeah, so this is from a magazine, and this one was free. So again, look out for magazines that you can buy and find that give away, you know, free gifts. It may not necessarily always be what you're looking for, but you'll find something. So these clear stamps come with the clear blocks, these particular ones, which I think this one was free as well. I think this one came in a magazine, did it? No, maybe not, because I think I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking I brought it because there were so many different stamps on here. They're all floral ones, and when you're making, you know, like special gifts and things like that, a lot of these stamps come in handy and are really great. And then go to your where they've got, you know, sales on, or whether you can get a coupon, I don't know, and see if you can get. So this one was marked down for half price, and there were tags. They're tags, and they're a bit worse for wear. That's really sticky. It's a bit worse for wear, but the clear stamps are good as well. So then the next thing I started doing was making simple ones. So I got this idea of making some, I wanted a variety, so here are some more lettered stamps. And I wanted, sorry about that, I wanted stamps, I wanted some letter stamps basically, but some of the ones that they had I found quite boring, and I wanted to create some larger ones, again because I just thought to myself, you're buying all these, you know, stamps, and you use them for a little bit and then you're just putting them down because they're not actually what you want, and so why don't you make your own? And so I started making some large, sorry, it's like, I don't know what's happening. So I started making some larger stamps, and some of you might recognize this. So I would cut out the letters, and these are just the Jenga things. Jenga, it is Jenga, isn't it? So I got some foam and I made my own. I made some larger ones, and I was just like, gosh, that is absolutely amazing. I didn't realise that I could do that. And for some of them I put 2 on 1, so that worked for me. And then I just labelled what it was, what letter it was, and that worked. So I had, you know, I think I got this in the not the charity store, but like the dollar store. They had these cheap and then I could make as many stamps as I wanted to. And then the other thing I did was make some words, because I was buying again these words, and it was just like, it was never, I wanted some chunky ones, I wanted some different style ones, so I ended up making some to suit. And then that extended to, you know, this says soul, but creating actual larger words. And then I moved on and I started to create some of my own. And I'm going to show you these. Oh, this is one of my favourite stamps. This one, it's a floral one. And this was, I got it in the hardware store. They sell paints and stuff, and these were kind of for decorating. So it was when stenciling in terms of decorating became really big. It was just like they had so many nice designs, and this is a really nice stamp. It's because it's really nice to hold, it's foam, it's light, and this is quite absorbent, and it will go on for quite a long time. So here's what I made. I started getting foam. This foam is from, my son used to have a sleeping bag, and I brought the foam so that obviously the foam goes under it and you sleep on with the sleeping bag on top. And then after he stopped using the sleeping bag and wasn't going to use it anymore, I thought to myself, oh, what can I use with it? And I one day just happened to create some stamps, or create a stamp. I'm trying to think which was the first. I think like I started to do some faces, and then I thought, well, if I can do faces, I can do other shapes. I can do, like, I use this one a lot. It's a hot weather balloon. I use that one a lot. And I created a lot of textured ones. This bird I use a lot. And I created just a backing for it so I can press it down. And then I found these, I went to this, oh, this is one of the ones that I'm going to show you the pattern that this creates, but can you see I've just kind of like done an abstract pattern in these ones, but then I found a store that did oh gosh, what are they called? They were shapes, and it was for like a children's room, and they were sticky back. So the bit that was sticky I've stuck down, and then this had like a pink, they had a pink glittery surface. So one day I was sitting there and I thought, what if I take off this pink glittery surface, because I'm not actually going to use it in that way. And I started making indentations into the foam so that the pattern that you get is very individual. And I did that with several of them. Then the other thing that I did, which you would see on the front of this journal, it's not dry yet, is, again, they had different shapes. So I've used it in my journals. This is so foam covered with tissue paper and then painted. But I was able to utilize them. And then, as I say, this out of, it was, I think it cost about £3 UK, but it had over 40 pieces of either animals, there was a, sorry, not animals, it was just birds and flowers and circles. So I really went to town with that and just made a lot of stencils, and not stencils, I made a lot of stamps, and yeah, went to town with it. So let me show you the inks. Again, the inks you can find, you know, go when there's a sale or stuff. I mean, I've got, this is my collection of inks, and I've got the pigment ink I prefer, or the dye-based ink. The dye-based ink is quick drying, and then the pigment ink allows you to, if you wanted to emboss it by using the embossing powder and, you know, a heat gun, you could do that. So I would more go with the pigment ink, because it allows me more flexibility in terms of if I decide I wanted to, you know, emboss it and create a raised effect, then I could. So what I want to show you quickly is just one of the just one of the handmade ones, and I'll have to do it, so maybe up here because it's nice and dry. So this is one of my favorites. It is one of my favorites, and you won't find that design anywhere else, and it's just like so cool that, oh, some of them are, the quick drying ones seem to have dried. I haven't used these some of these inks for quite a while. Let me just find a good one. So talk amongst yourselves, why don't you? Okay, here's one. So this is the one that I made, and all I did was using mark making materials. I'll just go a bit closer for you to see. Using mark making materials, I just created a design. I also used like a little knife and cut out, and it's really, oh gosh. You see what happens when you don't use them for a long time. Oh wow. Oh my gosh. Do you know what's happened? See, you get to see this live. So what's happened is, because they're now in the heat, the foam is disintegrating. It's crazy. Yeah, the foam's disintegrating. Anyway, so we've got some. I'm gonna have to go through them and see which ones are salvageable. I've just found that now I'm in a hot climate, a lot of my supplies, well, not a lot of my supplies, some of my supplies have disappointingly, I'm going to do it down here, either dried up, or if they've got foam on, they're disintegrating. So I just apply light pressure, and there you go. Let's do another one. Okay, so this was the quick drying ink. So look at this. Look at that. Look. Isn't it pretty? But so this is a quick drying ink, but the other thing you could do is you could have gessoed it or waited until you've done several layers, and then you can, once you've decided, I mean, I usually use the stamps at the end, but once you've decided that, you know, you've nearly finished, and I would use the stamps as just like, this is the final touches, but I might just add some on here, the lady. See, the other thing I would do is do that, and then I would just get rid of what I didn't want, because that just rubs out with the water. So, you know, if you wanted, like I, you know, pretend that it's part of the clothing or a design in the clothing, so you can do that. And then the other thing that I would definitely do is just go through my journals and stamp this, because you don't want to waste anything. Remember, there's still ink in here that you can use, and so I would just find pages that it can either be the first layer, or it can be the last layer, or it can just be a part on the page that, you know, if this was gessoed all the way through, then I would just have gone through and done that, or find other pages that as you've seen, a lot of my journals don't, they're not all totally finished, so I would always have several of them, if not all of them, with a couple of pages available for me to add, you know, that's just blank, so I can just go with the flow. So that's it, really. That's what I wanted to show you today. The one of my essentials is my stamp collection, and the ones that are really essential to me really are the ones that I've made. You know, they're unique to me, and I think it's, if you can, I am going to be doing a class where I show you how to make the stencils. It's so effective and it's so satisfying to be able to do it, and you can, you know, use it how you wish. I could use this, I've used this on fabric. Let's have a look. Let's see, because we might as well just get rid of some of that on the fabric. Let's find a page. So even this one, this is not a complete page, but I need to do it on the hard table. Let's see how much comes out when it gets right down to the end. So you can see just kind of a very light image, but let's try and get one that's where it gets right to the end. What you might need to do is using a brayer, rub over it, and that just gets all the, so just press it down with a lighter initial image. You would get you know, you would see this more. But what I would do with this is I could create a face, because when you add, you know, additional like with the stamps, it's given, I mean, I can see a shape of the head there and then the torso there, and so adding the different layers, you get different looks. Okay, so I'm definitely going to leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope that's been useful to you. I will leave some links down to some stamps you can purchase if you want. You can take a look, and if you join my mailing list on my blog, if you go to my blog, you'll see my mailing list. And you can join my mailing list, so you'll be informed of when I do another course, or just subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you'll be updated when a new course comes then. But I want you to have fun with your supplies. I want you to get to know your supplies, and again, if you are feeling stuck and need some inspiration, you can dive into your supplies and play around with some of them and see what other techniques you can get. And I spoke of, let me see, I did speak of the embossing powder, but I don't have my heat gun here. But this was, hold on, let me just double check, which one was this? Oh yeah, it was, and that's a shame. So this is a pigment ink. So this one is slow drying, and it's given me, it will give you, so I will show you, I won't be able to show you it changing, but I'll show you the embossing powder. So the embossing powder is very fine, and I'll use the gold, and all I would do is dust some of that on, and it leaves a layer. Wherever there is the wherever you've done the stamp, it will stick to the embossing powder. The embossing powder will stick, and I know I said I was going. The embossing powder will stick. I just really wanted to show you it. It's getting a bit messy, Betty. There we go. So you can see there, so where we had the black ink, the embossing powder is stuck to it, and it comes in a variety of colours. I think that's for another video, but so the embossing powder is stuck, and then what I would do is apply the heat gun, and it would go all raised and lovely. And I guess I will. You don't really want to sit through me drying this, but what I'll probably do is dry it and allow the embossing powder to take effect, and then show you an image of the finished piece. So I am going to put a cap on it and leave it there. Thank you for joining me. Again I said, I hope it's been useful. Please do subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Okay, take care for now. Bye.